For more on this, Fabrizio joins us now from Manchester in the UK. He's a senior consultant at Orville Aviation and founder of BizJet TV. Good to have you back with us, Fabrizio. The September 11 attacks really did change the way we fly. Before 9/11, all people needed to do was basically walk through a metal detector in order to board their flight. But we know it's a very different experience now. Can you tell us more about how the 2001 attacks changed commercial aviation?
Well, of course, as you mentioned, security has been enhanced throughout the airports around the world. It takes longer now to get from check-in to an airplane because you have to, your bags have to be scanned. Sometimes you have to be scanned. And then I remember, back in the days when I was a teenager and I used to fly on the airplanes and I wanted to become a pilot, very often I'd ask if I could travel in the cockpit and the pilots would allow me to sit on the jump seat. And in 1998, when I became an airline pilot, I would invite people in the cockpit to sit on the jump seat for a landing and that. And it was nice for us as pilots to have passengers in the cockpit from time to time, and they were asking questions, especially the young ones wanting to be pilots. So, it has changed the industry, 9/11, from a security aspect and also for the pilots and the way the airplanes are operated and that. So, yeah, it takes more time now to get through a terminal.
So after the horrors of 9/11, traveling by plane in the United States essentially delivers on its core mandate that it gets passengers from point A to point B safely, but it's almost universally recognized as a stressful and unpleasant experience. But when you contrast that to, say, the experience in Singapore, which is less stressful, less burdensome. In fact, Singapore's airport is seen as a tourist destination. I'm wondering, why is there such a difference in experience from flying in the US to flying elsewhere in the world?
Well, first of all, infrastructure. I mean, America's foreign policy over the last 30 years has been let's build other infrastructure in other countries. And they haven't really rebuilt their airports. I mean, American airports today are 25, 30 years behind airports like in Germany or the UK, for example, or Singapore, as you mentioned. So infrastructure is one of the things. And yeah, and of course, in America, they do make a very big palaver about the security in that. While, they have to do security in a certain way in America, while over here in Europe or in Singapore, we have a lot of technology which helps us. And so again, it's infrastructure. And what America really needs to do is invest on building their own airports, rebuild their airports, modernize them, incorporate technology in that. Which is, I mean, they've got one of the best airports in the world on their doorstep in Vancouver, in Canada, for example. But what they've done in Vancouver is they've built a lot of technology into the airport, and Vancouver and Singapore tend to be, two of the best airports in the world because they're using technology and they've invested in infrastructure.
Now, before the pandemic, it was the September 11 attacks that caused huge financial hardships for airlines. The years following 2001 were filled with various airline bankruptcies, mergers and consolidations, as well as losses in the tens of billions of dollars. Remind us how 9/11 hit the airline industry commercially.
Well, what 9/11 did is it scared a lot of people from flying. So people are sitting at home and thinking, do I really want to get on an airplane? And then maybe some guy's going to hijack it and crash it into a building. I'm going to die. So that's, that affected people that travel psychologically. And so the airlines, for a week, airlines in America couldn't fly because they were trying to check to see what actually happened. And of course, airlines make money when airplanes are in the sky, not when they're on the ground. So that had an effect. And then after that, once airline travel did resume, people were slow to get back on an airplane. What's happening now with the whole pandemic thing? It's affected a lot more people because 9/11 really affected those people that traveled. The pandemic has affected everybody on a global scale.
That's right. Okay. Fabrizio, we will have to leave it there, but we do appreciate your analysis. Thank you so much again for joining us.